Hello, everybody. Welcome to Recovery Dharma. My name is Josh. I'm one of the facilitators here at Soul Center, Spokane Sangha. We've been exploring the Third Noble Truth this entire month. Here at Soul Center, we take on monthly topics to explore for the whole course of the month, and it gives us the opportunity to really dive deep and look at a topic from many different points of view. And it's this third noble truth is, is traditionally that there is an end to suffering. The first noble truth being that suffering exists. Second noble truth that there are conditions that cause suffering. And then this third, that there's an end to suffering. Julia has reimagined the terminology, um, substituting discomfort for suffering, to make it a little more bearable and approachable. And then talking about the end to suffering, she's framed it with the word harmony, um, which I interpret as, there exists in nature, in the world, in the universe, in our hearts and minds, an underlying harmony that it exists that gives us access to the end of our discomfort or to ease our discomfort. Um, and over this month, a couple of my meditations on that topic, uh, I got some feedback during the sharing portions from Sangha members, um, that, in a nutshell, it kind of easier said than done. Um, and my meditation last week, I realized that it is super easy when you're sitting in a place of comfort to talk about the end of discomfort. Um, I consider myself very fortunate in that through this practice with this Sangha and working on my recovery, I've come to a place that my discomfort is less than it has been since I was a child. Um, and I really cannot credit too much this Sangha. Um, that being said, that's what I'm feeling in the moment. Over the years that I've been here, I have experienced loss and failure, physical pain, um, you know, sadness that at the time was just almost unbearable. And it's always been great being able to come here regularly and express that in a place that feels safe and supporting and understanding. The other side of that is I have witnessed through the shares here loss and pain and grief at just tremendous levels. I don't want to go into details, but I think everybody who's been here has had their turn in the barrel, so to speak, of experiencing extreme suffering. And I think, had I picked another 50 close friends to spend the last few years with, probably would have been the same. But what I found in this group has been very, very, very special to me in the way that I feel supported. Um, I feel heard and understood, uh, and I don't feel alone. Um, have to constantly go back and remind myself, as I've said before, that this is a recovery program, and as such, having the support of a community has just proven invaluable to me. Um, but it's been a very powerful lesson too, how this suffering that we all go through when I look at some of your faces there, I can think back to the shares where you shared something so just I couldn't imagine going through what you went through. And maybe people, when I've shared my low points, felt the same. But then when I look at the faces here, everybody's here. Everybody has gone through that. Not to say they haven't been changed, maybe for the better, maybe for the worse, but you're here. And and that suffering, I know those days when I was at my lowest point suffering, there it felt like it was just permanent, but it's not. And who knows what tomorrow holds? I might get my turn again, but knowing that I have this practice to keep coming back to, this song to keep coming back to, uh, it it takes a little bit of the edge off of that for me. And I hope it does the same for everybody here. And this is our last night of the third noble truth. So I've done a little meditation. I hope you all join me. So I would like to begin, oh, inviting my bell to ring. So go ahead and find a comfortable position, whatever works for you, whether in stillness or in motion. If you are able to find stillness, sit or lie down, whatever works. If it feels safe and it calls to you, let your eyes close or soften your gaze. And begin by bringing your attention to the natural rhythm of your breath. Need to change it or force anything, just simply notice the inhale and the exhale. Notice the rise and the fall of your chest and your belly. Notice the quiet, steady movement circulating in and out. And now take a few slow, intentional breaths, gently deepening your inhale, exhaling softly. Let your body settle into this moment. Nowhere else to be right now, just here. Put the day behind you. As you rest with your breath, bring to mind the simple truth that discomfort exists. This is something that all of you have known in many forms, physical and emotional, sometimes subtle and sometimes strong. But today, we turn toward the truth, the third noble truth, that the end of discomfort is possible. Not an abstract idea, but as something deeply, deeply human, something already woven into your experience. And as you breathe, reflect on this, that in your life, discomfort has not been permanent. Gently think back on a time when you experienced loss or pain or injury, maybe something physical, maybe something emotional, like a disappointment, grief, heartbreak. Without forcing anything, simply allow memory to arise. And without taking on that feeling again, just notice how it felt then. Do you remember the weight of it, the contraction in your body, the way it may have filled your awareness and taken your attention? And now, as you breathe, gently notice that that moment has passed. The intensity has shifted, softened, or dissolved in some way. And even if traces of that remain, something in you has moved, or adapted, or healed. And this is the natural movement of the human mind and heart. There is within all of us quiet intelligence that inclines toward healing. Just as our body mends a cut, just as the winter gives way to spring, the mind too moves towards balance when conditions allow. You don't have to force the process, it's already happening. As you take a breath, let yourself feel that possibility, not as something that you must create, but as something that you can allow. As you breathe, bring your attention to the idea of struggle. Notice how at times when discomfort arises, there's an immediate impulse to resist it, to push it away, to fix it, to argue with it, to wish it were different. This is deeply human. And yet, notice what happens when struggle tightens around the discomforts of life. Does it soften or does it intensify? Imagine something simple, like standing in a river, trying to hold back the current with your hands. Feel yourself in the water, facing upstream. Feel the effort in your arms and the tension in your body and the impossibility of stopping that flow. This is what struggle can feel like. And now, in your mind, picture yourself gently releasing that effort as you let the water move around you. You're still standing, still present, but no longer fighting the current. What changes do you notice? In this allowing the water to flow, something subtle begins to emerge, a kind of harmony. It's not the absence of all sensation, but a balance, a sense that you are no longer in opposition to your experience. As that water flows around you, note that this harmony is not something you need to manufacture. It arises when resistance softens, when your grip loosens, and when you stop insisting that this moment must be different than it is. Now bring your attention back to your breath. As you inhale and exhale, notice how the breath does not struggle. Comes and it goes in a cycle. Even when you're not paying attention, your breath continues in its own rhythmic, quiet harmony. Now, gently expand your awareness to include your physical body. Notice any areas of tension that you're holding, any aches, any pains, and without trying to fix them, simply acknowledge them. And then see if it's possible to soften just a little bit. Not trying to force relaxation or imagine things away, but allowing space for what is. You might silently say to yourself, this too can be here. And in this way, you begin to relate to discomfort differently, not as an enemy, but as something that arises, changes, and passes. Reflect on this. The end of discomfort does not always come from eliminating every difficult experience. Often, it comes from no longer struggling against what is already here, from no longer adding layers of resistance, fear, or grasping. And as our struggles quiet, harmony becomes more accessible. This harmony is not dramatic, it doesn't come suddenly, but it's subtle. It may feel like a quiet easing or a sense of space around our experiences, a recognition that you're not trapped inside discomfort. Take a few moments to breathe, allowing whatever arises to come and go. To reflect on discomfort and its passing. Make space for both. If sensations arise of discomfort, let them move like waves. You don't need to hold on to them, but you don't need to push them away. Simply rest as the one who is aware of those. As you breathe, return to this reflection that it is in our nature to move toward healing, to recover, to find balance. This happens countless times in our lives. Even now, beneath the surface, whatever struggles each one of us may be going through, this movement continues. You can trust that this harmony exists, and it's something that you can begin to experience for yourself. And as we come to the close of this meditation, let's reflect once more on the third noble truth that the end of discomfort is possible, and that this end becomes more available when struggle softens, when harmony is allowed to emerge, and when we rest in awareness rather than resistance. Namaste. Thank you, Julia. Thanks, everybody, for being here tonight. Close us out with a dedication of merit. May any clarity or calm cultivated here contribute to the easing of discomfort in your life and the lives of others. May we remember our natural capacity to heal, to find balance, and to live in harmony with what is. And may this understanding support wise thought, gentle speech, and compassionate action for the benefit of all beings.